streaming. So hopefully you can see me. Welcome to this Saturday evening. I almost said Friday evening. Welcome to this Saturday evening English lesson. We're out here today. It's another beautiful day in Canada. It's a little brighter than normal because there's usually a tree that has lots of shade there, but some branches blew off this week. So it's a little less. Let me just make sure that things are working. You can see me well. It looks like you can. So anyways, Bob the Canadian here. This is a live Ask Me Anything English lesson. There is a form that Todd the Canadian, who moderates the chat, will post from time to time. There will be a link. You can ask me questions there. I will try to answer all the questions for you. But as in past weeks, there are usually so many people and so many questions. I only get through about 50 to 100 questions. So I'll see what I can do. I'll try to keep up a good pace. If you are new here, welcome. I make videos on YouTube, and this is the regular Saturday evening live lesson. For some of you though, I know it's morning, and for some of you, I know it's really late evening. But let's jump right into the questions. The first one isn't actually a question, but it's from a good viewer of mine named Dikshnash Ajne, I call him. It says, "Hi Bob, no question today. I hope you are having a great Saturday. My Saturday went very well. I want to thank you for everything. You are truly amazing." Thank you very much. I appreciate those comments. But from now on, let's make sure that we are asking questions. The form link was posted by Todd. Here's our first one. Lolly Lolly from France says, "Hi Bob, is Queen Elizabeth popular in Canada? Merci." So for some people, yes. Some of you may not know, but Canada is still kind of associated with the United Kingdom, with Britain. And so we do have a queen. We don't do a lot with the queen. We don't see her a lot. But the number one thing Canadians do with the royalty in Britain is we watch every single wedding on TV. Huge viewership when that happens. Next question is from Andre Cruciance. Says, "Hi Bob, do you know the expression all hands on deck? What does it mean?" So all hands on deck, I think originally comes from when sailors are on a boat and they need everyone to help do something. So the top part of a ship is called the deck. But now in English, we use this phrase just in general settings. So when we're done eating supper, when we're done eating dinner and we have to wash the dishes, we say all hands on deck. And that means all the kids need to be in the kitchen cleaning up. One of the kids sweeps the floor. One of the kids brings all the dishes to the sink and wipes the table. Two of the kids do the dishes, and Jen and I do general cleanup and help where we can. I usually end up drying the dishes. So I use a towel to dry the plates and forks and spoons. Great question, Andre. Let's see. Next question is from Cheng. Cheng says, "Oats and French fries are used in plural often. When a piece drops to the floor, would you say oat or French fry, or piece of oats or French fries?" If I was to drop a piece of oats on the floor, I would call it a piece of oats. We don't usually say an oat. That just doesn't really make sense. It's grammatically correct. For French fries, there is a singular. If you eat French fries, you can eat them one at a time, and you would say, "I am eating a French fry." So that would be the singular of French fry. The sun has gone behind the tree, so it's a little easier for me to see the camera now. Let's see here. Next question is also from Cheng. Cheng says, "Sir, Mr., Ma'am, Madame, Miss, how would a receptionist address a customer whose name he doesn't know in a hotel?" So that's a tricky one. We usually use sir and ma'am. When you use miss, it's usually for a younger woman, but you could use either and you would not offend. So if someone walked into a hotel, I could say, "Could I help you, sir?" That would be very polite. You could say, "Could I help you, ma'am?" That would be very polite. And you could say, "Could I help you, miss?" That would work too. So all of those work. in Canada. I'm not sure how they would address you if you were in Britain, because I think they say ma'am, they pronounce it a little bit differently. So anyways, I want to stop and say hi to everyone in the chat. Good to see some familiar names in there. I know Sean from Free 99 English is here. Thanks for being here. Todd is here, kind of keeping things in order for me. So thanks, Todd, for being here. And then just lots of other regular people here. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new, there's a subscribe button down there. You should click it. Lots of good stuff on my channel, I hear. That's what other people tell me. So let's see here. The next one is from Brahim. Brahim says, "Hi Bob, Brahim here from Morocco. First, thank you for your efforts. Can you explain what does it mean sketch? For example, that was sketch." So this is a short form of the word sketchy. I'll put that in the chat. When someone is sketchy, it means that you're not sure about them. You think they might be trying to do something that's illegal. You think they might be doing something that other people wouldn't want them to do. So you might have a person outside of a store and you would say, "He looks sketchy to me." And that would mean you thought he was maybe going to rob the store, or maybe he was selling drugs outside the store, but you just felt like they looked sketchy. And a short form slang version of that is sketch. You could say, "Oh, that guy looked sketch to me." So hopefully that helps you. I'm gonna cough for a moment. I'm gonna cover my mouth because we learned that yesterday, right? In the live stream on pet peeves. Excuse me. And I'm gonna take a sip and I'm going to try not to slurp, because we looked at that too yesterday in the live lesson. Tea with honey. Let's see here. Next question. Lots of questions coming in. We're going to see what Cheng says. Linen washes well. What is the opposite of wash well? For example, wool washes poorly. Wool can't wash or anything else. You are right with wool washes poorly. So the opposite of saying something washes well would be to say that it doesn't wash well. So you could do the negative, or you could say it washes poorly. That's you kind of answered your own question, Cheng. Good job there. Next one is from Daniel. Hello, Daniel. Daniel thinks Todd should be president. That's what I saw Daniel post earlier. Daniel Moraira says, "Hi, hey Bob. Can you pronounce these two words? They are so similar. We say wash and watch. So I can wash my hands." Okay, so I wash my hands. You hear the wash sound. I wash my hands. But I can watch YouTube, or I can watch Netflix. Sorry, I'm mispronouncing Netflix now. So you wash, and you watch. Hear the ch sound in watch? There you go. Let me see here. This one is from Cheng. "I'd like to wash before dinner. Do you think he is talking about taking a shower or washing his hands?" He is most likely talking about washing his hands. In English, we often are very specific. We would say, "I just need to go to the bathroom," if you needed to use the bathroom. "I need to go wash up," would mean washing your hands. And if the person needed a shower, they would probably say, "I'm just gonna go take a shower." Usually you're quite specific in English when you're going to wash up, and you would say what you are doing. Lolly says, Lolly, please could you tell me the difference between scream, yell, shout, and cry? So when you scream, it's if someone scares you and you're like, "Ah!" So you scream, it's because you are frightened. When you yell, you're actually communicating to someone in a loud voice. So you would say, "Get out of the way." So you would yell an instruction to someone. If you shout, you could also say, "Hey, get out of the way," is shouting. But sometimes when you shout, it's just one word, like, "Hey, you, get out of the way." So anyways, that was not a great example for shout. And cry, we usually use cry for crying, like when tears are coming from your eyes, but you can also cry out, like you can Like he was scared, so he cried out in fear. So similar to screaming in a way. Good question, Lolly. We're gonna do this one. Cheng says, fart and let out gas. This is from a Korean cartoon. Which would you use? Are there other ways to talk about this act? So we generally don't talk about farting unless we're with friends or family members, people who we are very comfortable talking to. You might say, like one of my kids might say, oops, I farted. And if you don't know what farting is, you'll have to look it up. It's when a little bit of air comes out from a certain part of your body. So we would, if you are familiar with someone enough, like a brother, sister, good friend, you would use the word fart. In public though, people in English usually never talk about farting. It's just, you don't fart at work. You don't talk about farting at work. It's just not talked about. So let's see here. Luza from Brazil. Luza from Brazil. Hi Bob, please tell us, are there raccoons on your farm? So I did make some corrections there, Luza, when I read your question. Make sure you notice that. I said, please tell us, are there raccoons on your farm? So there are raccoons. They come in the night and they eat some of our goat and sheep feed sometimes. And sometimes they poop. It's not very nice when you find raccoon poop in the morning. But yes, there are raccoons that live around here. Brahim says, is jackass a bad word? If not, could you explain what does it mean? So this would be a word you would use informally. You would not use this in polite conversation. And it means someone who is a jerk or someone who is not a nice person to you. You would use that word for it, Brahim. Let's see here, next one. Lolly says, what's the best way to use still and always? So I am still doing live lessons every Saturday night. That means I continue to do the live lessons. I am still drinking tea with honey every Saturday night during my live stream. It means that I'm doing it and I continue to do it. Always refers to something that it's slightly different. So I am always planning my next lesson. So that doesn't mean I've been planning and I'm planning the next one. It means that in every moment in time, I'm planning the lesson. So it's a little different. That's a tricky question, Lolly. I think my explanation of the word still is pretty good. And the example sentence with always is pretty good. And I'm going to leave it at that. They are very similar words. Like I still like going for a walk every day, which means that I do go for a walk and I'm enjoying it every time I do it. If I say I always get up early to go for a walk, it's a little different. I'm not explaining it well, so I'm gonna leave that one and move to the next question. Sorry about that. Sometimes Bob the Canadian, he doesn't have a good answer and it's better to just leave it. Pia has the next question. Pia says, hey Bob, what is the difference between ain't and isn't? So we actually don't use, first of all, they're the same. Ain't is kind of a slang version of the word isn't. So he isn't coming, he ain't coming. We actually don't use ain't as much as we used to. When I was a kid, a long time ago, we used the word ain't a lot, but I don't hear it that often anymore. At school, when I'm listening to students talk, I don't hear the word ain't very often. So anyways, isn't and ain't, they mean the same thing. So Vinicius, I think this is a different Vinicius. I think there's two Viniciuses now in our chat sometimes. Vinicius A, Vinny, that's a cool name, says once, it's once by the way, not one. Once in a blue moon is an amazing idiom, right? So could you say another amazing one like that or more common? No, but one that's more boring is every once in a while. So once in a blue moon, I go see a movie or every once in a while I go see a movie. They kind of mean the same thing. Something that doesn't happen very often, but does happen. So I'm going to pause and say hi again to everyone. I see lots of people in the chat. 376 people watching. That's very cool. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. And if you guys could all give me a thumbs up, it makes me happy. Is that silly? That thumbs up make me happy? It's the little things in life that make you happy. Let's see here. Daniel Alejandro says, hi Bob, it's the first time that I'm asking you a question. My name is Daniel Alejandro. I'm from Chile. I'd like to know if you know something about Chile. Thanks so much for your help. I don't know a lot. I know it's in South America. There, that's something, right? I know it's in South America. And I will definitely read about Chile or Chile after this live lesson. I usually tell people when you share what country you're from, if I'm not familiar with it, I usually read a little bit about it. So Clive is back. Hello, Clive. Clive Sue says, great to see you again. You too. Could you please explain what is the difference between due to and on desk? Thank you. So I'm not sure about on desk, okay? But due to, due to and on maybe, either way. Due to means that something caused something else. So I drink, that's not exactly true. Let me rephrase that. Due to means you do something so that something else, because something else is happening. So let me just give you an example sentence. I drink tea with honey due to a sore throat. So the reason I drink tea with honey is because I have a sore throat. I drink tea with honey during my lessons due to the fact that I get a sore throat. I'm not sure about the second part of your question, so we'll let that one lie. I had the cup in the picture there for a sec. Next question, Rodrigo. Oh, this is a great question. Rodrigo Jesus says, hello Bob, what's the best way to practice speaking English with no partner? So one way to do it is that you have to pay money. So what I often tell people is it's really easy to practice reading, writing, and listening and learning vocabulary all by yourself. It's really hard to practice speaking by yourself. There is a video that I made. I'll see if I can remember to link it. I have to look at my clock here. About ways to practice English by yourself and how to find English speaking clubs in your city. But what I usually tell people is if you have some money, you should go to a website like Preply or italki. If you scroll down in the description, there's a link to Preply. If you pay money, you can actually hire someone via Skype or FaceTime that you could talk to. I see someone in the chat asking a question about turtle and total. I usually don't take questions from the chat, but the first word is turtle, the second word is total. Rodrigo, I hope that helped you just a little bit. Let me tidy up my questions here and we'll get to the next one. Raul says, can you make a video on how to use prepositions like in, out, out, in, on, out, up, off to make phrasal verbs? Why do people say hear me out and not hear me up, listen up or not listen out? So first of all, I got to scroll back here. We say hear me out. It means that you want someone to let you finish your thought or your sentence before they talk. We don't say not hear me up, so that's somewhat incorrect. We say listen up when we want people to listen. When I start teaching my class, I often say, students, please listen up. Here are some announcements. And we don't use listen out. I haven't heard that phrase before. But Raul, I will definitely do more videos on phrasal verbs and specifically on those words for sure. Thanks for the question. Good question. Hernan. So Hernan, oh wait, just a sec here. Hernan Litio says, hi Bob, here again. Well, welcome Hernan. Thank you so much for being in the live lesson. I have to apologize. It's getting a little bit windy. I hope it's not affecting the microphone. I hope you guys can still hear me. I am going to check for a moment. Thanks for the question. Good question. The audio sounds good still. I think we'll keep moving on. Let's see here. Free 99 says, you are awesome. Thanks, Sean. That's very nice of you. On Instagram, you discussed too close for comfort, and a good follow-up is better safe than sorry. Could you explain these meanings? Yeah, so when something's too close for comfort, it's when something happens close to you that was a little bit dangerous or really dangerous. And the best example is lightning. So the example I gave the other day was Jen and I were outside and lightning hit a few kilometers from us. We could see the lightning hit the ground. There were dark clouds. So that is a situation where the lightning was too close for comfort. And then Sean's follow-up phrase is better safe than sorry. And what that would mean is if you see lightning, if you want to use the phrase better safe than sorry, you would say, we went inside because even though it wasn't raining yet and we could have kept working, it's better to be safe than sorry, right? It's better to be safe and inside than stay outside and accidentally get hit by lightning. Great question, Sean. Thank you very much. Next question is from Anselros. Which is right? Check out this other phone or check out this another phone. The first one is right, and I apologize for reading the second one. I'm not sure if you know this, but I don't ever like to read things out loud if they're wrong because I don't want you to hear them. So this is what I should have done. Which is right? Check out this other phone. That is correct, and your second sentence is not correct. So if you are saying that, you should learn the first one. Yes. Rami says, hi Bob. Hello, Rami. What is the difference between photo, picture, and image? So we often look at photos on the computer, we look at pictures on the computer, and we look at images on the computer. But photo and picture are usually things that we've taken with a camera or phone. An image usually is something that's been edited on the computer. So if you take a photo and you load it into Photoshop, and you can work on the image. So it's slightly different. Certainly if you go on vacation, when you come home, you say, I took a lot of photos, or you say, I took a lot of pictures, okay? And you wouldn't use images in that case. That just wouldn't sound right. So let's see here. Next one here, Alexi says, I have to scroll through this. It's, oh yeah, okay, Alexi. Sorry, I kind of, oh, that's Rammies again. One sec, folks. Bob the Canadian has forgotten how to copy and paste. Here we go. Alexi says, hi Bob, how is it going? I'm Alexi. Hello, Alexi, from Russia, the Crimean Peninsula. I hope I said that correctly. My question isn't about the English language. I'd like you to tell me a funny story instead, maybe from your childhood. I have to think about that. Okay, here's a funny story from my childhood. When I was a kid, my older brother and I shared a room. And at night, we would take our socks and we would roll our socks up into really tight balls and we would throw them at each other in the dark. So I'm not sure if you understood that. When I was a kid, my mom would put my brother and I to bed, and we would say, good night, Mom, and she would turn off the light and close the door, and then we would take our socks are what you wear on your feet, and we would roll them into balls, and we would throw them at each other in the dark. And then my mom found a whole bunch of rolled up socks behind my brother's bed the one time, and she wanted to know what we were doing. That's my only story, Alexi. That's the only story that we're going to tell tonight. Next one is from Renata Mayumi. Renata Mayumi, could you please explain the difference between back down and back out? Thank you in advance. No problem, Renata. So when you back down, if two people are arguing, so if I'm arguing with someone and someone says, you're wrong, and I say, you're wrong, and then if I back down, it means that I stop arguing and I start to maybe agree with the other person a bit. So when you back down, it means that you stop arguing with someone. When you back out, there's two definitions of this that I can think of off the top of my head. One is with a vehicle, you back out of your driveway. So that's a very straightforward one. You back out of your driveway. But you can also back out of an agreement. So maybe I made an agreement with Todd that I would buy his car, and then the next day when I'm supposed to pay him, I say, I don't want your car anymore. That would be me. I would have backed out of the deal. So that's kind of the difference between those two. Next question is from Badir. Hi Bob, I'm Badir from Morocco. How do you use get in English? Well, Badir, that is a very broad question, but I'll just give you one example sentence. The other day I was outside and it was raining, so I had to go get my umbrella. So that's one of hundreds of ways we use the word get in English, and maybe I'll do a video on that soon, Badir, so that you can see some of the examples. Next question from Lolly Lolly. I am confused with these pronunciations. Desert, dessert. Yeah, these are tricky. So let me get a handle on these. Number one, the place with lots of sand is the desert. Okay, so you can go and you can walk out into the desert and you can see the sand. We do say desert island. That would be as an adjective. But when I desert someone, that's the verb. It means that I leave them. And sometimes I eat dessert. I hope I got all those pronunciations right. As an English speaker, we don't often use those four versions, lolly lolly, in the same sentence or conversation. So I'll do them again. You can go for a walk in the desert. Okay. You can go and live on a desert island. You can desert someone. That means to abandon them or leave them. Or you can eat your dessert. I can't have dessert anymore. The doctor said, no more desserts for Bob the Canadian. For those of you that don't know, I had heart surgery a year and a bit ago. I'm doing great, but I can't have desserts. So here we go. Next question. Lots of questions here, people. Thank you very much. Next one. Anis says, hello, Bob. Hello, Anis. Anis from Algeria says, first of all, thanks a lot for your help for helping me learn English. No problem. Is it easier to learn English in the US, Canada, or the UK? I think it depends on what you do when you're in that country. So first of all, you should learn the accent that will be the most useful to you in the future. So if you are planning to do business with people in America, you should learn American English. If you are planning to do business with people in the UK, you should learn British or English from the UK. Canadian English is quite neutral. You can learn that and be fine almost anywhere. But it's easiest to learn English when you only talk to native speakers. So I've spoken about this before. Sometimes we have students in my school and they come from a certain country, and instead of talking to the Canadian students, they talk to other people from their country. So they talk to the other people from Spain, or they talk to the other people from France. So it doesn't matter what country you live in. What matters is how much interaction, how many conversations are you having every day with native speakers. That is the most important thing, Anis. Let's see here. Oh, Doreen is asking. Yes, so Doreen Chen says, I heard someone say, without further ado, let's head inside. What does adieu mean? And is it an English word? In that form, that phrase is an English phrase, but it's not an English word. So sorry. It's just something we say. So it's kind of a funny word, but it means goodbye. You bid someone adieu, adieu, and to you and you and you. There's a song about it if you want to look it up. Excuse me. I really have a tickle in my throat tonight. Doreen has a second question. It is a great question as well. Doreen Chen says, neat equals clean. Yes. So we like to keep our house neat. We like to keep our house orderly. We like to keep it clean. But when someone says, this is really quite neat, which is really neat, I felt they are meaning interesting. Is that right? Yes. So you might find learning English on YouTube is really neat. So in that case, it doesn't mean tidy, but instead it means that it's something that you find very interesting or very exciting, okay? I find the fact that this spray keeps mosquitoes away is pretty neat. It's neat that that happens because then I don't get any mosquito bites. So yeah, in that situation, it does not mean clean. Let's see here. The difference so this is from Fabio Santos. Hi, Fabio. Could you explain the difference between the pronunciation of your and your? So I say them exactly the same. So your, like your dog is barking, right? That's the first one. And the second one is a contraction of you are. So you are cool. You're cool. So the first one, your, and the second one, your, I pronounce the same way, and I think almost every English speaker does. So let's see here. Nathan GR. Dear teacher, Bob, I'd like to ask about the differences between the words soggy, sodden, soaked. How do I use these words? Thank you. So if something is soggy, the best example would be when paper gets wet. We would say it's soggy. You know how you have paper and it's really nice and stiff, and then when it gets wet, it's all lumpy. Or cardboard. So cardboard is what boxes are made out of. When it gets wet, it gets very soggy. We don't use the word sodden very much anymore. It means pretty much the same thing. And soaked is something that has water all in it as well. But that can also be people. So I could be soaked. That means I got caught in a rainstorm and I'm soaked. But you wouldn't describe a person as being soggy. Food can be soggy, by the way. So Brahim has the next question. Really hope I don't lose my voice tonight. We have 25 minutes to go. Let's see if we can do it. Brahim says, what's the difference between enough and adequate? So I have enough tea in here to last until 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have an adequate amount of tea in here to last until 8:15. So it's basically the same. It's really, really good. I see a few folks asking questions in the chat. I do like to take questions via the form. I do have to mention there are a lot of questions to get through, so I might not get to your question. Please just enjoy the live lesson as we go. Next question is from Elena. What does it mean to pull someone's leg? So when you pull someone's leg, it means you tell them a lie to be funny and you let them believe it. So basically, just let me check something here, folks. Yes, anyways, when you pull someone's leg, you might say to someone, oh, it's raining outside, you better take your umbrella, and it might be sunny outside. And then they could respond and say, are you pulling my leg? So are you telling me a lie because you think it's funny? So that's what pulling someone's leg would be. Next one. William Sousa. William Sousa. What is the correct form? I'm going to take an exam. I'm going to write an exam. You can say both. Yeah. In our school, I often give tests. Students often take tests. They often take exams. They often write a test or they write an exam. You can use all of them. All of them totally work. Let's see here. Sylvester says, could you, did you see the cat? Sylvester says, could you tell us about pick up and drop off? Thank you. So in the morning, I can take my kids in the van and I can drop them off at school. At the end of the school day, I would go and pick them up. So drop off means to have someone get out of a vehicle somewhere. So you drop them off at the airport and then sometimes you go back and you pick up people from the airport. So those are the two. Let's see here. Next question from Daniel again. Does ouch and out have the same pronunciation? And just congrats on your videos. I don't know what is the best, the lesson or your acting. Yeah, one of the two. So let's go back though. Ouch, like if I hit my elbow, ouch, ow, that actually did hurt. Ouch, okay, so you would say ouch, and then out. So I am going to go out and get something to eat. So ouch, like out. I don't want to hit it too hard again. Those are the two. Next one, here we go. Let me tidy up my questions here for a moment. Sergey from Russia. Hello, Sergey, how are you? Sergey says, do you like to go fishing? I don't go fishing a lot, Sergey. When I was younger, my brother used to fish. I don't know if you can see, I can't quite see the river. My brother used to fish. I don't do many of those kinds of outdoor activities. My biggest outdoor activity is making English videos. So Pia from Germany says, Pia from Germany, hey Bob, can you explain what off means after verbs, like I am pissed off? So this is a little bit hard to explain because there's a lot of ways we use off after verbs. Your particular one means that someone is angry. So if I was to say to someone, you know, I lost my job, I'm pissed off, it means I'm angry. And it doesn't really translate directly, okay? Because off in that situation just modifies the verb to mean that you're angry. And you just need to kind of learn them. They're kind of a pain. It's one of the things when you're learning English that is quite difficult to learn. Let's see here. Next question. Priyanut says, what's the difference between scare and afraid? So if you scare someone, it means that you do something to make them afraid, okay? So if I was to stand behind a tree and then when Jen walks by, jump out and say boo, I would be scaring her. I would be doing something that will scare her. So I am scaring someone. If you are afraid, it means that you are scared, okay? So notice how I used scare again. You are afraid, okay? So look up the verb to scare and learn that one really well, and that should, I think, really, really help you. Let's see here. Henry from Taiwan has the next question. Hi, Bob. What do stewardship and due diligence mean? Thank you, sir. So stewardship is when you take care of something well. Usually when you take care of the earth, when you take care of your company, you practice good stewardship. Due diligence is when you're doing a project and you do all of the steps correctly and you research everything well. So stewardship applies to bigger things like entire organizations. Let's see here. Due diligence refers to doing a project properly on every step. Next question from Gino. Oh, wow, Gino. Gino says, hi, Bob. How are you? I'm fine. I woke up for this lesson at here. It is 3:30 a.m. That's super early. Oh, wow. I love to watch you. You are the best. My strange question is, how do you say the TT sound, for example, little? So, excuse me, it sounds like a D. So when we say there's a little cat, it sounds like I'm saying a D sound. We don't often say little, little. Sometimes when you are public speaking or reading a poem, you might say, there was a little boy. He went down the road. But in everyday speech, we generally just say little. Let's see here. I'm just laughing at something. Sorry, it's a private joke. I will tell you sometimes. Anyways, the TT sound in the word little, we often say as little. So there was a little. And we even say it faster. Sometimes we say lil. There was a little bit of rain. Lil, lil. Do you hear that? Little, little, lil. So there you go. That's a very fast, informal way to say that though. Hey Bob, I'm Leo. What do you think about Mexico? Well, I would like to go to Mexico someday. Many Canadians go on vacation in Mexico, and someday I would love to visit Mexico. In fact, I just watched a cooking show today. I like to watch cooking shows, and it was a guy who was in Mexico, and he was eating, I have to get this right, what was it called? I think it was made with chocolate. I can't remember, but he was having tamales and he was dipping them in this beautiful, yummy looking sauce. So yes, I would like to visit Mexico someday. Janice has the next question. Janice says, what time does the sun rise and go down in Canada? I don't know if the question is structured right. No, that's a great question. What time does the sun rise and go down in Canada? I adore your classes. Greetings from Colombia. Well, thank you, Janice. So right now the sun comes up around 6:30 a.m. and currently it is 7:56 p.m. and the sun is still above the horizon. So as we get closer to fall, our days will get shorter. But right now, it's about 6:30 in the morning, the sun comes up and it goes down around 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Great question, Janice. Let me tidy up here. Next question from Leah says, is there anything I can watch for? Oh, is there anything I can watch to get familiar with Canadian accents? So you can watch hockey. That's probably, if you can get anything from CBC, so cbc.ca. Let me try and put the link here. Sorry, I'm not talking, but the CBC is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and that is where you will be able to find some Canadian television. And if you can watch Canadian hockey, that's where you will learn the Canadian accent the best. Rachel Ting is here and has a question. Hi, Rachel. Good to see you again, by the way. Hi, Mr. Bob. Can you pronounce this word, philosophy? Thank you. By the way, I miss Oscar. Yeah, he's out with Jen right now. He might come later. So philosophy. Philosophy is the world of thinking. You know, when you philosophize, you think about life. You can also go to university and study philosophy. You can study Plato and Aristotle and Socrates, all of the big names in philosophy. Let's see here. Next is from Hadim from Senegal. Very cool. I think you are the first person from Senegal that I have seen in my channel. Thank you for coming. Hi, Bob. Thank you. I don't have another word. Is it a good idea to talk with somebody who is a lower level than you to improve your English speaking skills? Anytime you can talk or speak in English, you should do it, even if you are speaking to someone who has a lower level. Whenever you use your brain and your mouth together to make the sounds, you are practicing the mental part of speaking English and the muscular part of speaking English, because you need to use your tongue and your mouth differently. So anyone you can talk to, anyone, Hadim, is good. Let's see here. Next question is from Anis from Algeria. Hello, Bob. How can we say in a restaurant how many times we want them to cook our meat? Rare, medium, well done, thanks a lot. So when you are ordering chicken or pork and even fish, you do not say how you want it cooked in Canada. They just cook it, okay? But if you are ordering beef, you can order your beef rare, you can order it medium rare, you can order it medium, you can order it well done. Some people like it just slightly browned on each side, but those would be off the top of my head the way you would order beef in a restaurant. I usually order my beef well done. So you can write that down. Rare, medium, well done. There's one in between medium and well done. Medium well, that's the one. Medium well and then well done. And then burnt. Burnt is when they cook it so long it turns black. Next question is from Bruno Diaz. He says, hi Bob, Bruno Diaz from Brazil. Hello, Bruno. And hello to everyone else in Brazil. You guys are awesome. Could you explain what does this idiom mean, at the drop of a hat? So if you have a friend who will do something as soon as you suggest it, you would say they do it at the drop of a hat. So you could say, he'll go to the movie at the drop of a hat. Like if I say, do you want to see a movie? He always says yes. I have a friend who will go and see a Blue Jays baseball game at the drop of a hat. Like if you even suggest that you want to go see a Blue Jays game, he will come with at the drop of a hat. So with very little thought or pre-planning, that's what at the drop of a hat means. William Sousa says, when do we use older and elder? So this is an interesting one. I'll give you one small example. I have an older brother. Older. I'm using the O version, right? An older brother. I also have an older sister. That is the way you would say it when you're speaking English. Elder is kind of an older word that it can be used in the same way, but we don't use it that way very often. So I would say I have an older brother. You could say to someone, oh, I met your brother. Which one of you is older, or which one of you is the elder? But it makes you sound like you're from the 1940s. It makes you sound really old. So the word elder, not used a lot in everyday speech anymore. Nathan GR. Teacher Bob, the phrasals come across and bump into have the same meaning. Thank you. Sort of. You can come across a good deal at a store. You can come across a sale. So it refers to a thing, but you can bump into a person at the store. So I would say not in every situation, but for those of you learning English, when you come across something or you bump into someone, it means you just randomly meet them when you're out. So I would say come across goes with a thing, and bump into goes with a person. There are slight variations, but those are the two major uses of those two, Nathan. Martin has a question. Hello, Martin. Hi, Bob. What's the difference between froth, foam, lather, and suds? So anytime there are bubbles on top of water, you could say that it's frothy. When you have a soda or a beer is poured into a glass, it can get frothy on top. It can also get foamy. You would call it froth, you would call it foam. Lather and suds are for soap. So when you're in the shower, you would lather up. So that's how you put soap. And then you have suds, which are small bubbles as well. I don't know, I should ask Sean from Free 99. Sean, do we use the word elder very much anymore? Like, you hear it in movies, right? Like the elder brother was going to be king of the kingdom. But in everyday speech, we don't often use elder. I don't anymore. I don't know. Maybe it's a regional thing. Luis says, hi, Bob. Good evening. What's the name of the river behind you? So that river is called the Welland River. I'll put it in the chat. You can look it up on Google Maps, the Welland River. Let me see here. Let me delete a few things. The next question is from Helen from Colombia. Helen from Colombia says, which expression is more appropriate? You must be happy for the trip, or you should be happy for the trip. I think you could say both. I would say this though, you must be happy that you're going on a trip. And I would also say you should be happy that you're going on a trip, but they mean slightly different things, right? One, when I say you must be happy, I'm just pointing out that the person has happiness because they're going on a trip. When I say you should be happy, I'm saying that even if you're not happy, you should be happy. Like, I think you would be happy in that case. I'm going to back up because Todd, the Canadian, had a great example. He said, you would say, respect your elders. That's a great phrase, Todd. So we do say this in English, respect your elders, which means you should respect people who are older than you. So that is a case where we would use the word elder. Let's go to the next question. Maxime, sorry if I said it wrong. What is the difference between ready, set, go and ready, steady, go? They mean the same thing. It's definitely just regional. Here in Canada, we would say runners on your mark, get set, go. And in different places, they would say runners ready, set, go. Little kids say this often when they're having a little race between them. They'll say, okay, let's have a race. Ready, set, go. But if you go to a track and field competition, they would say, runners on your mark, get set, go. That's what we would hear in Canada. And it's slightly different around the world. Next question. Louise says, Luis Carlos, Bob, I realize that you pronounce T in words like often, internet, etc. In Canadian English, you pronounce those, or does it depend on what part of Canada you are from? So the word often and the word internet, when we are saying them properly, we say often, you hear the T, and we say internet. But when I'm talking quickly, I say often. And when I'm talking quickly, I say internet. So you can hear how the T gets softened quite a bit. I often go to the store to get groceries. I should technically be saying, I often go to the store. But when we speak quickly, we say often. So I often go to the store to get groceries, and I often use the internet. I should say internet, but I often use the internet to check the news. Yeah, we speed up and soften quite a bit in English. And it's not a bad thing. So at work, when I'm having a formal conversation, I will say often. So I will mispronounce the word slightly, even there. Let's see here. Andre Cruciant says, no question now, but concerning the accent, the one thing that really stands out when you speak is the different way you pronounce out and about. So that is very, very Canadian. So one of the things we do say differently is out, about. I like to sometimes go in a boat, so you can hear my Canadian accent when I say those words. In fact, there's a phrase, I was out and about in a boat. The other day I was out and about in a boat, and you can hear all of my little accents going on right there. Next question. Elena P. Hello, Elena. Oh, I posted it twice. One sec here. Well, I'll just let it go. Elena P. says, hi, Robert. Thank you. That's my official name, by the way, Robert. Is the healthcare system free in Canada for citizens? Yes, it is free. But yes, we pay a lot of taxes in our country. So even though healthcare is free, we pay a lot of income tax, we pay a lot of sales tax, and we pay a lot of property tax. So it's free, but we pay a lot of taxes. So you kind of, have to choose there. Chen says, will your kids take over your farming business in the future? We don't know. We really don't know. We have 5 kids. They help on the farm, but none of my children have said that they really want to be farmers someday. Some of my kids don't know yet because they're little. Notice I didn't say the T's there, little, because they're little. But we don't know yet if any of the kids will take over the farming business. Lillian has the next question. Lillian says, Bob, if I can say, you can think so, or you can think that. You would say you could think that. You can think in that way. Which of these sentences is more native? So if someone said to me, I think that everyone should use less electricity, I could say, well, you could think that, but we do need to use electricity to cook our food. You could say, you can think so. You could think so. Yeah, I would say you can think that. If it's an argument, I would say that. You can think in that way, I wouldn't use. It's proper, but you could say, well, you might think that way, and then present a counter argument. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense, Lillian. Henry, hello, Henry. Henry's question is, hi, Bob. I have trouble pronouncing the word eggs. Could you please, I'm not laughing at you. It's just a weird word. Could you please help me with that? Good morning from Indonesia. So again, I'm sorry, Henry, that I laughed. I was not laughing at you. The word egg is a funny, funny word, and it makes me laugh sometimes. But it's eggs, eggs. It's a really weird sound, right? It's not an E sound. It's not an A sound. It's So it's eggs. So every morning I have 2 boiled eggs, eggs, eggs. The more I say it, the funnier the word sounds, Henry. So eggs. Our chickens lay eggs. And then we fry them up. Sometimes we boil them. Let's see here. Raul from Peru says, hi, Bob. Hello, Raul. Peru is close to Chile. I know that because I actually read a little bit about Chile just a while ago. You guys are all in South America. I know that. Anyways, hi, Bob. Love your stuff. Thank you. Have you ever seen a UFO? Or have any of your friends seen any? Do you happen to believe in aliens? So number one, I have not seen a UFO. A UFO is an unidentified flying object. So it's like a flying saucer or a spacecraft from aliens in the sky. And the second question, have my friends seen one? No. And do you believe in aliens? I don't believe in aliens. Maybe, but I mean, we haven't seen any aliens yet. I think if there were some, we would have seen them by now, but I don't know. Maybe I'll be wrong someday, but I currently don't believe in aliens. Gaga says, I always watch your video and copy the script to learn vocabulary. It's really helpful. Have you eaten dinner yet? That is a good idea. For those of you that don't know, if you watch my videos on a computer, it's very easy to get a copy of the transcript. And then you can look up certain words. And then the second part of the question from Gaga is, have you eaten dinner yet? Yes, we had rice with peas and chicken. It was really, really, really yummy. Luis from Brazil says, Luis from Brazil, what's your expectation for the next season of the Toronto Maple Leafs? Well, we always in Ontario believe that the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to win the Stanley Cup, and we believe that every single year. Every year we believe that they will make the playoffs, and every year we think they're going to win the Stanley Cup, and every year we're disappointed when that doesn't happen, Luis. That's what fans do. I really hope to go see a game this year. That would be really, really fun. Let's see. Cruthong says, could you explain excuse me and sorry? I've heard you use them recently. So if I say I'm sorry, or if I say you'll have to excuse me, it's a way to start a sentence. But if I do something that hurts someone's feelings or hurts someone, I would say I'm sorry. Then it would be an apology. And when I say excuse me, I can also use it if I'm walking through a crowd and I need to get past someone. I could say excuse me, but I could also say I'm sorry, could I get past you? Canadians very often start sentences with I'm sorry. Some people think we say it too much. So when you start a sentence with I'm sorry, it's not an apology, but it's a way to start a sentence. So I'm sorry, let's see how I'm sorry, I need to get through here. Could you excuse me, please? So I hope that made a little bit of sense, Kruthong. Let's see here. Gustavo Carrillo. I think I said that right. Gustavo Carrillo. Guys, 170,000 subscribers. Just press the button and Bob's your uncle. By the way, Bob's your uncle is a weird English expression. I thought you should mention it. Yeah. Bob's your uncle is something you say after something happens automatically. You just, or really easily, like, and you just put the lid on and Bob's your uncle. So, and by the way, you don't need to click the subscribe button, but I should remind you, if you're new here, you can click the subscribe button. And if you haven't given me a thumbs up, if this lesson is helping you, give me a thumbs up. That's really awesome of you. Let's see here. Luis from Brazil says, Bob, the Brazilians use the word the a lot when speaking English. Is this wrong? It really depends, Luis, on the sentence. I just used the there. If you're talking about the difference between using a and the, you have to make sure you're using the definite or indefinite article correctly. So hard to say without examples. By the way, I'm glowing red because the sun is below the tree and it's hitting me. Can you see the shadow on my face? I'm in the shade of the tree for most of the lesson, but now the sun is coming below the tree and it's hitting me directly. So I'm going to glow red for the last couple minutes here. Let's see here. This is from Janice from Algeria. Janice says, hello, Bob. I was in Montreal for holidays last summer. And it was very warm. Is that usual? Yes. So in Canada, in most of our cities and most of Canada, we live in the southern part of Canada. In the winter, all of Canada is cold. In the summer, most of Canada is quite warm, and it's usually quite humid. It's usually quite muggy as well. Let's see here. This is going to be, I think, the last question, everybody, and we're going to wrap this up. Henry says, what does get off on the wrong foot mean? So that means you start something and something goes wrong right away. So maybe I start this lesson and then my battery dies on my camera. So that would be, I would be getting off on the wrong foot. So anytime you start something and then something goes wrong right away, you would say that you're getting off on the wrong foot. Zhang, no, actually Zhang, I don't drink alcohol very much at all. So Zhang is suggesting that, oh, I see, because my face is red, you think that it looks like I'm getting a bit drunk. Well, I'm not. I only drink tea. I very rarely drink alcoholic beverages. It's not my thing. So anyways, should I do one more question? Let's see if I can find one more question. Let's see here. I'll go towards the end. Last question for the night. Ismet, hi Bob, I'm from Turkey, but I'm living in Ohio in the United States. By the way, Ohio is right over there. If you fly for half an hour, you're in Ohio. That's pretty cool. Should I wave to you? You probably can't see me. Also, this is my first question in your chat so far. Awesome. My question is how to say easily. Thank you. So when you do something easily, it means it's very easy, simple to do. And the word is easily. That's how you say it. Hey, it's been 1 hour. I need to wrap up this lesson. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, you can come back tomorrow and there will be English subtitles available. If there were parts of this lesson that you had trouble understanding, come back and turn the subtitles on, click the CC button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. I think I am losing my voice. And give me a thumbs up. That would be awesome. I'm Bob the Canadian. If you have never watched any of my videos before, take some time to watch some. Most people enjoy them. I really like making them. There will be a new video on Tuesday. There will be a new live lesson next Friday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll be back again next Saturday evening at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a live lesson. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to push the button now. I did push the button.